Hello, it's Ashley here with another Project Life process video. Today I am documenting March of 2015, and I have already tackled a couple pages using the Practical Scrappers Celebrate kit. And today's video I'm just going to be filling in the gaps for the rest of documenting March. We had a lot going on that year in March, so I have a lot of stories to tell, so a lot more pages this time around than just my typical spread and an insert. So I'm starting on the left-hand side with that design A that I cut down to 6 by 12 for the previous month, and I'm pairing that with a full 12 by 12 design A on the right-hand side. I like to start by laying out all of my photos, including that title card that has the March overlay. I've been using those overlays from Paper Hum all throughout this whole album, and so I continued again, but just by putting the artwork onto the photo before printing it. And then I'm laying out my cards. The cards for this spread are Practical Scrapper Celebrate and Practical Scrapper April Blooms. The April Blooms had some of the same colors as the Celebrate kit, but in a more muted color palette, and I think it really coordinated well. I get a little bit of ahead of myself right here and start embellishing, and then I decide to go back and lay out the rest of my journal cards. So on the back of that 12 by 12, I'm going to be using the Paper Hum Rising Up card kit to tell part of our story about visiting my family. They threw us a baby shower, and so that's, again, a page I had already done, and I really liked that the Paper Hum Rising Up cards coordinated with the greens and yellows and oranges that were also in the Celebrate kit. You're going to see me lay out my photos, then lay out my journaling cards, and then once I decide where everything's going to go, I'll come back and embellish. Here, instead of sticking to just the 4x6 pockets, I decide to do a bunch of 3x4s as well. I try not to let pocket orientation limit what kind of photos and cards I use. So we're going to move on here to the back of that insert page. Now these are design G and these are 10 by 12. I really enjoy using this size for inserts. It's lots of room to tell lots of stories. And again, I'm going to be using some of these 4x6 landscape oriented pockets to hold two 3x4s instead of a full 4x6. And again, just laying out my photos first, then gonna lay out my journal cards and figure out how I want everything to go. A couple of these journal cards, well, these are all from the April Blooms kit, but a couple of them were made using the digital papers in that kit, and some of them are the actual cards that were designed for that kit. And I really like incorporating some of the bigger digital papers as cards. So again, just moving things around to see how I like it all and what looks pleasing to my eye, and then finishing up kind of how things are gonna look, and then we're gonna head into adding the embellishments to the filler and journal cards. So this is a story about working at a ski resort and getting a very big late spring, early spring, late winter snowfall. Our boss told us, ho, 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 Merry Christmas, and told us that we were going to work more instead of getting our original designated time off. To coordinate with that kind of Christmas feel, I used two stamps from my Allie Edwards in a Creative Bubble stamp set, and one says, "Oh, what fun," and the other says, "'Tis the season." We always get this kind of a really good late winter, early spring snowfall. So I felt 'Tis the Season was really fitting for that. And then I included the Oh What Fun for documenting a cardboard bobsled race that we got to watch at our work at the time because we didn't end up traveling. So, well, traveling when we were supposed to. Originally, we were going to plan to miss that. So I just stamped those sentiments on labels and added those right to the journaling cards here. Again, I'm playing around with the orientation. Ultimately, I choose to have the bunting on the bottom. I like the way that that looked better. And I'm going to stamp on here, ultimately using a label from my stash. This stamp comes from a pregnancy themed stamp set that I've been using throughout this album. I believe it is from Studio Calico, but I'm not sure and I cannot find it online. But this one just says first, second, third trimester. I'm going to stamp it on this little tiny label and then use kind of a starburst stamp to select third. And then we will move on. I've already stamped a couple of my journal cards off camera here, but we will catch up. This one is going to be a nesting. I stamped nesting onto another label from my stash and just going to put it right on top of that card. And lastly, I have this card that has the bunting on the left hand side, and I'm going to use a big alpha stamp to stamp the oh, maybe not. Oh, I know. I cut this butterfly paper. This was also in the April Blooms kit. This photo that you see me working with, I printed it in the wrong orientation. And so I cut it to a 4x4 square, and then I'm just going to add this piece of patterned paper to the bottom of it for some journaling or a title. I can't remember what I did. I think I just went with some stamping on a title. So I'm playing with that to make it 4x6 in a portrait orientation. And then we will get back to those last two filler cards. One has that bunting on the right hand side, like I said, and I'm going to end up stamping the name of a restaurant that we had gone to with the one little word. Nope, I guess I'm not doing that yet. Filler card. This one came directly from the kit, and before printing it out, I added "It's Official" as the title. I chose a font that kind of looked like it matched the handwriting for the March overlay, which kind of looked like the travel notes script there. It's going to house a Facebook post that my husband made announcing his job promotion that led for us to move. So now I'm pulling out that alpha stamp. This is kind of my favorite alpha stamp. It is like an enlarged typewriter font. This is from the 2022 One Little Word collection. I believe it is still available. I love it. So this is my final card here that I'm putting together. I have a couple quote cards that you're going to see me put in. Those I made and then printed out directly and didn't add any other embellishments to outside of when I created them. So we're going to skip ahead and you're going to see me start putting all of these pages together now that I have all of my storytelling done. So there's that Ho 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 Merry Christmas, the journaling for that. And there is this whole page. We're going to flip it over. I also added a couple labels here and there with some stamp sentiments as well. You'll see down here I have this card with a quote on it and those butterflies. I wanted to add those to repeat the butterfly that was part of the Rising Up collection on there. I also finished that, showing the flip through, Moving to this next spread, we have the travel notes card, the nesting card, and then this one says everyday moments. That everyday moments I added from a previous practical scrapper kit. I believe it is the Love You kit that I used for February of 2015 as well. And then I'm just putting everything in, and that is it for this humongous month. So many stories. You can see there I added some stamping onto that butterfly piece of pattern paper, and that is the end. I'm going to pop in some still photos at the tail end of this. I hope you like, subscribe, and leave any comments you have. See you next time.